Free your mind now. Be part of People's Pan-African Parliament, the Pan-African Pyramid Debate with your speaker, Andrew Irumba Katusabe.
Aboard, welcome to yet another edition of the Pan-African Pyramid Show here at, this time we are sitting at Kampala University, Gava campus. We are actually we are sitting near the Lake Victoria, and Lake Victoria has the freshest waters in the world, not in Uganda, not in Africa. The freshest waters in the world are found on Lake Victoria. My name is Andrew Irumba Katusabe, your speaker, and this show runs on NBS TV every Saturday from 4 to 5 p.m. We are powered by NBS TV, the Spy Uganda, and Fairway Hotel. This is the Pan-African Pyramid Show, and the Pan-African Pyramid is an intellectual non-partisan discussion forum built on the pillars of Pan-Africanism, patriotism, and nationalism values, whose ideal and preoccupation is to revive intellectual discourse among the youth with the bias of constructing our lost Pan-Africanism, patriotism, and nationalism values and spirit. I repeat, we have a bias in constructing our lost Pan-Africanism, patriotism, and nationalism values and spirit. Those ones are lost as we speak right now. We are a non-profit racist organization fully registered under the laws of Uganda. And so, ladies and gentlemen, every Friday we sit at Fairway Hotel, we deliberate on African issues. We look for African problems and suggest African solutions. We do that without fear or favor. Ladies and gentlemen, we're discussing here the role of student leaders in promoting economic transition, ICT, and democratic governance. We don't want to narrow this to a Ugandan context only, because youth are youth are everywhere in the world. However, youth in Uganda are the youngest population of the world. I want you to understand that first, that the youth found in Uganda, the Ugandan youth, are the youngest population in the world, with 77% population being under the ages of 25 years. We have 7,310,386 youth from the ages of 15 to 24 years in Uganda. So if they ask you, where do you find the biggest number of youth in the world? They are found in Uganda, not anywhere else. Now that's one. Number two is, how are you using the youthful years of your being on this world? You, the youth, and these ages are actually found in institutions of learning. When you are at school, how are you using that youthful age? How are you helping your society? What solutions are you finding for the problems that are actually affecting Africa? You, the youth of Uganda and Africa, how are you influencing? What contribution are you making socially, economically, and politically? Nobody should tell you that the youth of Uganda, the youth of Africa, should not participate in the politics of the day, should not participate in the economics of the day, should not participate in every other aspect of life. You are the people that must, first of all, give a direction. You are the majority. And therefore, you must be heard. Your voices must be heard. So, are you prepared? Being heard is one thing, but are you prepared? Are you doing the things that a prepared youth must be doing right now? When President Museveni was your age, are you doing what President Museveni was doing at your age? Are you doing them? Are you being serious? Are you consistent? When you come here to study, are you studying? Why are you studying? So those are the issues that we want to delve right now. And on my panel right now, I have Professor Alenyo George William. Professor Alenyo George William is an international civil and human rights lawyer and author. Actually, Alenyo George William is a former senior state attorney and legal assistant to the Attorney General. But Alenyo is also an author. He wrote many books. Most of them, it was about Pan-Africanism. One of those books that I like reading every other day, I get some time, is a book titled Deal in the Desert. Deal in the Desert talks about that discussion that Tony Blair had with Gaddafi. What is it that they had in the desert? Why is Gaddafi no longer with us here? What is it? What did Gaddafi refused to agree with the Western powers that finally led to his death. Those are the things that you will find in his book. I want to give him a round of applause. Professor George William Alenyo.
Right Honorable Speaker, sir. President Museveni again began his politics as a revolutionary university student in Dar es Salaam University in Tanzania.
Granted.
When he visited Frelimo liberated bases in Mozambique. Now, 50 years later, students from all over Uganda are beginning to question the president himself over the funding of our oil, the healthcare, education, succession, the economy, and the speed of the unification of East Africa. Right Honorable Speaker, therefore, what role can students play to cause a change in all those areas before 2026? I say this because if the students are to cause change, then they should cause it before 2026, as in policies, so that 2026 is determined upon the success between now and 2026. University students anywhere in the world are one of the most powerful political forces because they are the transition between studies and work. In any nation, the bedrock of that nation's politics is at the university. In Uganda, you all recall our student leaders in Uganda in the 1970s, how they opposed Idi Amin. In 1970s, there were no political parties.
Professor, I would like you to allow me take 1 minute of your time and officially welcome Honorable Fred Mukasa-Mbidde. He has joined us for the debate. Give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
You can come over here, comrade. Here he is.
So the debate is going to get hotter. My fellow panelists, you are welcome. So I was saying, in Uganda, Right Honorable Mbidde, I wouldn't want to get on a collision course with you, so I want to repeat a bit what I said. I said, the role of students in Uganda is paramount because in any country, student politics at the university is the bedrock of politics. And I said, in Uganda, you all recall our student leaders in the 1970s and how they opposed Idi Amin. During Idi Amin's era, there were no political parties. But the opposition to Amin came from student leaders like Tumusime Mutebile, from leaders like Chapa Karuhanga, guild presidents like Olaro Tunu, and Chapa Karuhanga. All these students participated directly in the national affairs and politics. As I said earlier, our President Museveni in Dar es Salaam was also participating in the politics and unification struggles and struggles against the colonial government. Therefore, student politics, when well guided, can have a great impact on the political directions of a country. Our country attained sovereignty 60 years ago on the 9th October 1962. This year is the 60th anniversary. You'll note that the correct language to use these days is not that we attained independence, but that we attained sovereignty. And whether we have exercised that sovereignty properly for our independence, for our development or not, is a matter for debate. There are issues about freedom of students in Uganda to express themselves in affairs of the state. We have cases of students being prevented from demonstrations, even being injured during demonstrations. But nonetheless, we can still discuss the topic of what a student can do, even in the little freedom that they say they have. There is freedom of speech, of course, in this country. But there may be no freedom after speech.
That's what I wanted you to emphasize.
Freedom is different from freedom after the act. You can have freedom of speech, but do you have freedom after the speech? After you have spoken, you may not have freedom. So as students, what should you do to have freedom before speech and freedom after speech?
Or even freedom during the speech.
Or during the speech. When you are engaging in student politics, the only way you can prevent yourself from being attacked, even after you have spoken, is to make sure that what you are saying is research-based.
Okay, so you're employing these students to
research,
speak what they know.
What they know.
Oh, okay.
Speak what you have researched on. Let it be devoid of politics, and then speak, and nothing will happen to you. In this era, there is no reason for a student to talk lies or to talk unresearched work, because you have Google. In our years, we didn't have Google. It was hard to cross-check any information. But now you have Google. Before you attack government or before you propose something, cross-check your information. Be researched. What, therefore, the role of the average student should be, first and foremost, is to prepare yourself. Research. Know where the nation is being plundered. Confirm the information, then present the matter to government. Government will listen. Right, Honorable Speaker, you remember last week, the students of Chambogo University came to our Pan-African Parliament. And when they came there, I was impressed by at least that group of students. They raised the issues. They asked questions. And their questions appear to have research. They asked questions. Who gave Chinese Sinok 40% of our East African pipeline? They asked questions. Who gave Russians a stake in the oil refinery? They asked questions. Who gave Total Energy 60% of our oil pipeline? They asked questions. Why is government borrowing money to fund the oil? Why can't government create a Uganda Sovereign Wealth Fund to fund our oil? So I asked the question, what role can you play in the production of our oil? I really pity this generation, and I'm really happy when they concern themselves with what is coming in future, because all this debate you hear about loans for the oil is going to be paid by you, your generation. You are going to repay the loan being borrowed now, whether from European Union or whether from China. So it is within your right to question the president on the matters of oil. But question after research. Do you know that when France takes 60%, they have also taken 60% of the jobs? They are not telling you that. That's why you move on a road in Kampala and you see a Chinese pouring colas. Heavens, is there no university in Uganda teaching engineering? Why is a Chinese struggling to pour colas here? It's because they took the percentage in the project. Secondly, your role as students will never begin unless you have something new to talk about. As students, you must be innovative, even in the politics of Uganda. Even in the politics of Uganda, you must come out with a new idea. We are talking about LC system, we're talking about movement political system, but do you know that those were innovative ideas by Museveni when he was still a student in Dar es Salaam like you? Did you know that? Did you know that this man was studying political science and he thought of systems to bring in place, movement, whatever. So now, 50 years, if there is a limit with the movement, the challenge is you students. Do you have a new, innovative political proposal? Or you just want to follow? What does the Bible say? It says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Hosea 4:6. So the role of a student in Uganda, in any matter, social, political, economic, must be from a position of knowledge.
Thank you so much, Professor George William Alenyo. Let me invite Mr. Kashuji Julius Levin from State House, Uganda.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
The role of student leaders in promoting economic transition, ICT, and democratic governance, Mr. Kashuji.
Thank you so very much.
Yeah. How do you think these youth can participate?
This is a very huge topic, but I will summarize and make it so simple. As youth today, if we can move on what this government has prepared or paved for us, we can still protect and fight for the resources that Uganda has. European, Asia has tried to fight so much for African resources. It's only one country that I know, that is Russia. Russia has never fought for African resources. We were blinded by missionaries when they came here. They came thinking they would be providing Bibles. And, you know, when they came, they asked us to close our eyes. By the time we opened, we had Bibles. They had taken our land. It's our mandate today, as youth, as today's generation, to fight for Uganda's resources and African resources. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The Europeans came, the missionaries came with the Bible.
Yes, sir.
Told you to close your eyes.
Yes.
You accepted, you closed your eyes.
We didn't know.
By the time you opened up your eyes,
the land was taken
with the
with
Bible in your
Bibles.
hands and the resources were in their hands.
Yes, sir.
Oh.
So now this generation is so educated. It is our mandate now to protect our resources. Uganda will have oil. The world has fought for what Uganda has. What Africa has. We have oil, we have minerals. It's our mandate to protect what is ours. When they came, they put boundaries. And it's hard for us today to remove boundaries. It's hard for me to go, or for us to go and say, Katunda border should be taken away. Busia border should be taken away. But now, the older generation has done its best. How about the coming generation?
Now,
our generation?
My challenge is,
yes,
when are you allowing that coming generation to take over?
It's my question, but we shall embrace. It's coming, but how are we going to embrace it?
When are you allowing that new generation?
Even tomorrow.
Oh.
Because the older generation has done its best. Now that the coming generation is ours. We have what we call Generation Z, and we have what we call millennial generation, which is born between 1980 to 1995. The generation is called millennial. And there's just Generation Z, which is born between 1995 to 2000. And all of you, this generation is born in the current generation. But if the old generation is retiring, how are we going to maintain what the going generation has built for us?
Okay, finally.
Now, the time has been so little. Now, it's my singular request. Let us behave. Let us copy from the old generation and fight and defend for our country, not to allow anymore the enemies of Africa, the enemies of Uganda to take the resources out of our hands.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kashuji from State House. I will invite, the next one should be Honorable Alex Miringia Wambui, who is the Chairman, Africa Center for Movement and Political.
Thank you.
You will correct me.
Mr. Speaker, it is Alex Miringu.
Miringu?
Yes.
Yeah.
The chairman, Africa Unite Movement.
Oh, okay. You have
Yeah.
5 minutes to make your presentation.
5 minutes?
5 minutes.
My God. I will try my best.
Thank you.
My name is Alex Miringu, Mr. Chairman, and I'm not a happy man today. I'm not a happy man at all. First, I'm from Nairobi, Kenya. I traveled all the way from Nairobi to come for this function. And I want to strictly say this. When I was coming, I used public means. There was this, I was in a car, and there was this policeman came and stopped the car and looked into the car, and there was these Somalis. At least me, I'm Kenyan, I look like Uganda. They cannot doubt me, I'm a foreigner. Okay. They saw Somalis, okay, and pointed them out. They called them out, and you know what happens. And they were properly documented, but they had to give something out because they are from Somali. Okay. And you know, it pained me because when I go to USA, I'll be discriminated. Why do I have to be discriminated when I come to Uganda?
In Africa.
In Africa, I'm just within the African borders, and still I'm being discriminated. That is not right.
I believe that is wrong.
Very wrong.
If they did that, they did it as individuals.
In fact, yes, they did it as individuals. And that's why I started the Africa Unite movement, because this has to come to an end.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
This has to come to an end. You see, Mr. Chair, instead of those defense forces guarding these colonial borders, I call them colonial borders, not sovereignty borders, because there is no sovereignty in division. Yeah. We are where we are right now because we are divided. Let me tell you, Libya had collected herself, and she was able to make her people live the best life. What happened? We all know what happened.
America killed Libyan.
Yes, America killed Libyan. So we are not safe until all of us are safe. So Uganda is not safe by itself. Kenya is not safe by itself. It's time we come together and unite so that we may push away this. Are you getting me?
I hear you.
Are you feeling me?
Yes.
Because it's high time we put an end to all this. It's high time. Let these soldiers defending our borders, let them fight terrorism in Africa. All of them, one army. They come together and fight what? Terrorism. See, that is possible, right? See, it is possible. With all our armies, the 54 armies in Africa coming together, will there be any kind of terrorism group that can fight such an army of 54 states? There is no. But somebody is benefiting from our division. Let me tell you. You see, for them to conquer Africa, they had to partition it. For them to conquer Africa, they had to sit down and partition it into these colonial borders. They had to partition it. So the only way for us to conquer them is for us uniting. Once again, when we unite, we will be able to conquer each and every problem we are going through. These laws we are going through, we are facing, if we unite and have one currency, let me ask you, one currency, backed by our minerals, backed by all the oils that we have. Even in Kenya we have oil, by the way, in Turkana. So Uganda has oil, Kenya has oil, Libya has oil, like there is oil and minerals. Tell me,
such kind of a currency backed up by all these. Let me tell you, by the way, Mr. Speaker,
Yeah.
do you know that Asia has only one thing that supports it? Do we know that? It has only oil, nothing else.
Yes.
And it has been able to stand with only oil. Africa, we have more. We have gold, we have diamond, we have all these minerals that are uncountable, yet we are living in poverty. Yet myself, sometimes I am struggling. I am struggling to even pay school fees. I am struggling myself to even fend for myself. I am struggling. Do you want to blame that on me?
No.
Am I to be blamed?
No.
Hey, are you to be blamed for lack of school fees? Have you heard of countries that are paying school fees for all their children? Well, as long as you are born in that nation, you are catered for. Your education is catered for. Have you heard about that?
Yes.
So why is it in Africa, with all these minerals, we are not able to fend for ourselves?
Thank you.
We live in the richest continent, but the poorest people. It's not fair. It's not fair, Mr. Speaker. So I ask, and I urge all of us, I have come here from Kenya because I take Pan-Africanism serious.
Thank you so much, Mr.
I take Pan-Africanism serious. Mr. Speaker, I want to urge all these members here, all these student leaders, to join me in this, the Africa Unite movement. And let's do this, because divided we fall, united we stand.
Thank you so much on that point. Let me invite Honorable Fred Mukasa-Mbidde, the Englishman, to make a presentation, and then I will invite a few people there to give comments from the audience. You're welcome, Honorable.
When we are still secondary school goers, I know occasions of this nature would come. I would personally begin by thanking you, Right Honourable Speaker, my fellow combatants, the antagonists, and the Kasangwini. Now that is how we would address comrades. Now when we came to Makerere University, I was told that if you want to be guild president, by the way, I became guild president of Makerere University simply because I spoke for 10 minutes and said the things that nobody understood. So I was one of the leaders that were elected promising nothing. My brother voted for me. So that was the time, because I promised to diagnose the problems of Makerere University with microscopic exactness, establish a vibrant guild openness, and wherever I would apply the healing knife, no new soul would appear, and everybody voted for me. Because I promised to establish the body politic of Makerere University as Uganda made it simple. So when you are a student here, you should know that this is Uganda made it simple. Everybody in Uganda has got either a relative here, a neighbor, a friend. So this is the proper microcosm of the whole country. So when you are debating anything here at this university, you should know that you are being representative of the whole country. To the extent that then you must think about yourself as a giraffe. Do you know a giraffe? When the animals see a giraffe running, they just follow. Because tall as it is the one seeing afar. Therefore, you must quickly be moving to a correct direction. I therefore now get to the point, the purpose for which we were invited here, Right Honourable Speaker.
All along you were...
All along I was generating a colloquy that establishes the proper interview. So, Right Honourable Speaker,
Yes.
you know, when I get to podium of this nature, I definitely get very happy. Because this is extremely nostalgic of what I have been through as a student leader. How does a young person, how can the youth, how can the student leader have participatory comfort in the economics of a country? How do you obtain it? Now there are circumstances and particularities that have to be discussed. Before you get to a student right on a speaker, you must first of all know what is the country anyway. What is the character and mechanism of administration that is in the country also. What are the ideological espousals that the country is also giving? Because it establishes quarantines and guards that offer the body politique that obtains at the time. So what are they? When you look at the manifesto and the constitution of the National Resistance Movement, it states properly, and I have even had the president also echo the same, that it is ideologically multi-ideological. For all intents and purposes, those doing economics, you know that ideology is the proper anchor chain from which you establish economic strategies that can actually run a country either forward or backward. So if your ideology is to the extent that you are establishing trade democracy, for example, they call it social democracy. You are calling it a liberalization of an economy, establishment of capital in a multiplicity manner, to the extent that all of those that are we can refer them as all and sundry. You see, society is divided into very many sections, but I can give you a few. There are those people at the top that call the shots. You can call them the Kabaz. The interrelations between them is what is a Kabalachik-Mbidde.
The Kabalachik-Mbidde?
Yes. But then we have got the civil servant.
Let them speak and stand, because when the speaker doesn't understand, the audience will not understand that.
Much obliged.
So the other ones are Kabaz.
They are the Kabaz.
And then this one,
now the second ones are the Kabalachik. Those ones that now run up and down in a style that makes everything, of course, establish a cross-sectional command structure. Then now, the average population that actually are receptive of what has been done are the rugged and the Bopute. Now that is how we organize society. Wherever you go, that is how society is organized. Now ideology is established to the extent that you are answering either of the questions of those persons I have cited. But they say that politics, right, Honorable Speaker, and it's very funny, there has been a description of politics as obtaining votes from the poor, funded by the rich, promising protection of each from the other. And that is what a politician does. Now, for me, in my opinion, and I want to say it through, I want to be remembered as somebody who spoke the truth. It is extremely impossible that a government intends to develop a substantive section of the people by adopting, by way of guesswork. That is what we call multi-ideological. Looks like a madman throwing stones, and whatever you hit, you call it the target. That is completely unachievable in the circumstances. And for me, we differ on that point. Number two, what is the character of governance that we have enjoyed in Uganda? It looks like a pendulum swing. We are swimming. Uganda has attained a pendulum movement, swinging from absolutism to democracy, and from democracy back to absolute dictatorship. That is what we are swinging in as a Ugandan body politic, and this has to be solved. So, Mr. Right Honourable Speaker, I think the body politic in Uganda, you the younger people, if you are to be extremely useful even to your own selves, there are characteristic measures that you must have to undertake. Number one, you should stop looking at yourselves as campaign materials, because that's what you are today. When a campaigner would like to do anything, whatever campaign that is established in the circumstances, he looks at what he needs. I need this amount of money, I need 4,000 posters, I need 100 youth. So you are just on the checklist of campaign materials. And until you abandon that checklist, you will not be a body politic that can be looked at as the future of the leadership of Uganda, or even current. You must abandon that shell and begin to see things the way we do.
Why don't you give a round of applause there? Because that's a good one.
So, student leadership does not mean occupying one of the checklists for a campaigner, but you must seek to become the campaigner your own self. You have been told to write proposals, write this and that, write and hand them to who? You must be in a position to write proposals and hand them to yourselves for implementation. That is when you can be a substantial youth. Today, all the young people, right, Honorable Speaker, have reduced themselves to major tools that are only facing computers to establish what we call social media tumult against leaders. Insulting, presenting hogwash, balderdash, malake, and bungompe. That kind of nuisance that young people...
The other ones I understood, but Konkope, help us on that one.
Right, Honorable Speaker.
The other one is okay.
You know, when somebody reduces oneself to making statements that are useless, even to he himself, unresearched, useless, and that is what I call the malake and the complete balderdash. Now, the young people...
Now, Konkope.
Bungope.
Yes.
That is actually what it means. It means the same. So for me, when I was still a student, of course I'm still a student, but now at the master's level I'm doing my third degree, a Master of Laws, majoring in oil and gas. It does not matter whether EACOP is getting a problem, is getting a hiccup. I think with absolute knowledge, we will definitely sort out the problem. As a student, I sought to know. And that is what the professor has also, and my brother here, has clearly adumbrated. You must seek to know. The reason why sometimes I punctuate my own speeches with a few things that probably you may not understand is to indicate to you that you have not arrived yet. Yes, because education is a continuous discovery of one's ignorance. You must keep in school. I have seen people using handbrakes thinking in terms of education they have arrived. One time I told you, until you were a professor, because for me I know a professor as that person who has gone to school until he finds the signpost reading, no school ahead.
That's a professor.
That is a professor. At least there I can personally understand that you have reached properly the end of the road. In the field where you have actually.
Professor Kajago Karsoke, the late told me you must be a professor or a professor must be you. That's what he told me.
I agree entirely. So young people, you must seek to know. Before you move an inch, you must ask yourself, why am I moving? When am I returning? The Bagisu have got this other, there is a kind of a dance. They call it kadodi. If you follow that instrument, you can run close to 40 miles.
Without you knowing.
The major question is usually when the festival is done, that you may begin now to think of the route back.
How to go back.
And that is what young people have always done. Now, instead of questioning why you are running to a specific direction, and for me, I shudder. When university students themselves follow political campaigns and opinions without question, they follow leaderships and leaders without question as to the veracity and the bona fides of a certain leader, and you just follow. You are taken by what we call the oomph. Oomph was obtained from German. I think it is called Omugundu in Uganda. Guided and rushed by celebrity Panjandram to the extent that you support without question. That is called axiomatic faith. Young people must always question themselves. Intellectually, am I making a clear decision? If you want to participate in the growth and economics of a country, you must seek to participate in the routes that lead to decisions that must be made in that regard. Right, Honorable Speaker, that is what I would like to tell the young people, particularly student leaders here. Every student at university is a student leader. Because behind you, there is a huge number of those that have not yet attained university level. Some of us started emulating, and we obtained our own mentorships from those that did not know us even at the time. When I was still lingering in the hoovers of the villages in secondary schools, I never went to any school that is actually notable. We met in Makere here, with all of those that went to the best schools. They are people I used to emulate. They are people I thought were role models. I have run their steps. And some of them, now I'm their role model. I have bypassed them. Because I've been working quite hard, and young people, you need to work hard. So right now, Speaker, the young people here must seek to have knowledge, must seek to have independence of opinion, must seek to also know why they are doing certain specific things, and must keep healthy. I do not want to find a system where every young person is described by midnight in terms of how many words he cannot mention because of the drinks that kind of a person has taken. Right now, Speaker, that is also a vice that is developing amongst the younger people. We want to look at you to the extent that we think you are either like us or even better than how we looked like at the time we were like you. I have never regretted a single statement I have made in life. Right now, Speaker, I simply pray to God that I do not regret any that I have made even today. I thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Fred Nkasambi. Now, we were joined by Honorable Andrew Ojok-Olanya just a few minutes ago. Honorable, the late Jacob Olanya, the dad of Andrew Ojok-Olanya, was actually our member. He's one of the pioneer members of Pan-African Pyramid. And I would like his son to take that position. He's among the people who pioneered the establishment of this great Pan-African Pyramid. And that's why you saw when we lost him, we were equally concerned. So Andrew Ojok-Olanya, as you come on the podium, think about taking over the position of your late father in the Pan-African movement. Thank you.
Thank you. Right Honorable Speaker, my fellow colleagues from Parliament, dignitaries here, student leaders, I greet you. I'm happy and I'm honored to be here. I'll just premise my discussion on two key areas. One is that life is a buffet, and two, you always have a choice. So I want to premise my discussion on just those two points. I learned those two yesterday when the senior registrar for judiciary was presenting. She mentioned that life is a buffet, especially for student leaders and students at large. It's a buffet. You can do whatever you want, really. You can do whatever you want. If you check the Bible in Ecclesiastes, it says, enjoy your youth. Whatever, enjoy your youth. But also know there will be judgment at the end. So let's be responsible. Let's enjoy our youth, but let us know we shall have to account for our time. Secondly, as leaders, you always have a choice. You have a choice to be the kind of leader who could actually extend the frontiers of civilization. For every civilization, for every age group, for every birth that is new, you have a chance to improve your neighborhood or your livelihood or the people around you. About 10 or so years ago, I went to the village, and there was a gentleman who was really old, and he told me something really profound. He told me, Andrew Ojok, yeah, they call me Ojok, we don't mind you digging. I don't mind you coming to the village to dig. But don't be like me, don't be like us. Show us that you can actually do better. The land is fixed, you have 1 acre. What can you do with that 1 acre? To me, that talked about innovation. That for every generation, there should be innovation. It's the same world, same water body here. The same challenges students face year in, year out. But what are you doing differently to make sure that the generation that comes after you is better off? That's the fundamental question. Otherwise, you end up doing the same things every year. Where Magari for like doing some strike. You're striking for the same reasons every year. What different thing are you doing this year, student leaders? So I want to put that to you, that yes, you set up think tanks, you set up so many things, but so many of those things have been done before. What are you doing differently to make sure you leave a step or a mark wherever you are? And that is what will make you a transformational leader. Not just a transactional leader, it will make you a transformational leader.
Let me invite Mr. Honorable Wanda Richard, Chairman Parliamentary Council Bugisu Sub-Region. You can also use 5 minutes, Honorable Wanda Richard. In the other speaker in your parliament gives you 2 minutes. Me, I'm giving you 5.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. And I want to salute my colleague, the East African Member of Parliament, Honorable Objects-Mbidde, the man who speaks English.
For you speak what?
I learned English. For him, probably is on the Queen's bench.
He's next.
Honorable Speaker, I had some time here, but I also want to state, just following what we discussed, when you get the ideas right and you get the information, then your actions will be defendable, as the professor put it. The biggest issue we have, I discussed the area of think tanks. Can think tanks work with universities to bring democratic unity among the parties? The answer is yes and no. And these are leaders of students, and this is our belief and my belief. If think tanks do their work rightly, get the research right, then their views will not represent mere arguments, but they will be backed by facts. There are countries, for example in Latin America, where think tanks have been involved in advising political parties. They give views because they find out, they assess the problems of a nation, and come up with possible solutions, and their advice or guidance is backed with the data.
Now the challenge here might be also the system, the environment. Does it favor that kind of engagement in Africa?
The good professor was here, and he ably stated that when you have your facts right, then nobody can apprehend you for stating a fact. But where is our problem? Sometimes the think tanks we have are not think tanks. They are just activists. What we need is a think tank. Diagnose the problem and come up with a solution. And that is what everybody is saying, that the youth, the leaders from universities, if you can begin thinking in the right direction, have your facts right, then you can influence many decisions. For those of you who have traveled, and those of you who have read about China, China, the West can say was a dictator or is still a dictator. But the issue is that they identified their problem and also identified their strength. Used their strengths to address their problems. That's why today, when China coughs, even the US will have to pay attention.
You have 2 minutes, comrade.
Right, Honorable Speaker, our biggest problem is identification of our problem. Like the medics do, when you go to a doctor who does not understand what they are doing, and they tell you that this is the problem, they will definitely prescribe a solution that does not work.
A wrong medicine.
A wrong medicine.
So what I get from your argument is that African universities or schools need think tanks, not activists in schools.
They need think tanks,
not activists.
Not activists.
Thank you so much.
Again,
I wanted to wind up.
I am winding up. Allow me comment on one thing. We need to identify as a people our common interests. I am a Ugandan, I am an African, I am an East African. If Uganda and Tanzania decide to build the EACOP, the East African crude oil pipeline, is it to the benefit of other continents? Is it to the benefit of Ugandans or East Africans? If the answer is yes, now what are the other voices saying? And now what is my role as a leader? What can I tell communities when I go back home? The answer lies here. We need to know what belongs to us. The Europeans are saying it is wrong to build the ECHO, and they are commissioning a line from Greece to Bulgaria in the same period. So what makes the Ugandan-Tanzanian pipeline environmentally wrong? And what makes the Greece-Bulgaria pipeline correct?
Actually, on that ECO project, to also add on, if it's about the emission, Uganda and Tanzania are actually not the baddest. No, the number one emitter in Africa is Libya, and the second one is South Africa. It's not Uganda, it's not Tanzania. So if it's about the emissions, I think they should think of another argument. And if it's about the human rights violations, I think there have been human rights violations in Uganda even before the ECOP came. How come you want to protect the rights of those along the pipeline more than other people on the other side of the country? Because we have had killings in Kasese. We had killings here in 2021. Very many people died. Many people died in Kasese. Why are those not concerns of the European Union Parliament? Why do you think those along the pipeline have more rights than the other people on the other side of the country? So I think that one, I don't think as a Pan-African, I would actually agree with them. My name is Andrew Irumba Kasebe. Watch the repeated version of the show of the same on Saturday from 4 to 5 p.m. on NBS television. Ladies and gentlemen, every Friday from 5 to 8 p.m. we are at Fairway Hotel, and entrance is absolutely free. I would like to ask this university administration every Friday to send their students to come and participate in these debates. Every Friday we pick some of these students here, but I think it should be the responsibility of the university administration to send these students. We've been working with them directly, but I think the university can have an arrangement, put for them a transport. They have buses here, I've seen. Send these students to Fairway Hotel. They participate in these debates. They help you in shaping the leaders. Because I understand, one of the reasons why we have this education is that really to nurture leaders. So the Pan-African Pyramid is one of those platforms that can actually nurture your future leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you so much. I also thank the administration and the organizers of this symposium for giving us an opportunity to come and host our debate here at Kampala University, Gava branch.
Omnani komoti, ngala kova ngani.